First off, Coach, how nice is it that you're going to be going back into SEC play following the win last night?
Yeah, I mean, certainly just looking for consistent play, and anytime you win, you feel better about yourself. Team feels good, and good positive energy. We had a good weekend last weekend. It didn't end the way we wanted it to, but to go down there last night, had to fight through a lot of things, pitching-wise, unexpected. But we swung the bats well, and that's 4 games in a row now where we've been pretty explosive offensively, and just hope to come back home and carry that on into the weekend.
Obviously, at the end of the LSU series, leaving guys on base was a little bit of a bugger there on the Sunday game. So, I mean, you feel like you guys fixed some of that last night?
I mean, leaving people on base, that's one of those things that, it's certainly not what you want. The positive is that you have people on base, right? So when you have a high on base percentage, which we do, when you get base hits, which I think we had 40 hits on the weekend, then there's going to be a lot of people on base. It's just a matter of getting a timely hit. So, if you start talking about that too much, then kids start putting even more pressure on themselves. So I'm actually fine with that problem, because it means we're in a good position to score, and the hits will come when they come. I mean, last night we swung the bat really well, and we probably hit another 5 or 6 balls on the dime, right at somebody. So, I think the bigger issue is being able to score the runner from third base with less than 2 outs, and we've done that a lot better in the last 4 games.
You knew the season was going to be a learning and growing season. How much have you learned about this team now that you started SEC play in the way that you guys did?
Yeah, I learned a lot more about them over the last week than I knew before, or actually they proved themselves a lot more than in the past. The challenge was to show a little bit more competitive grit throughout the course of the game, and there's a big difference between being panicked and having a sense of urgency. And I wasn't so sure this team had a sense of urgency they feel good about one game, but hey, dadgummit, let's get back at them the next day, And you don't just want a little taste of it; you want to eat the whole thing. So they had that over the weekend, and my message to them and their challenge is to bring that every single day. That doesn't mean we're going to win every game or that it's going to be pretty, but the intent has to be there. And I thought for the first 15 games of the season, we were just kind of trying to feel our way through, which maybe that's what a bunch of new guys do as you get into a season. But I think we're better than that. We've had a lot of injuries to overcome. We had another one last night. Hopefully we can get Warner back in the next 2 weeks. But that, injury to Christian Curtis last night, that's a big one for us. So a team that didn't have a ton of pitching depth is going to be even challenged more. And sometimes you find lightning in a bottle, like I think the injuries have done for Austin Boast, being able to play second base and lengthening our lineup. I think that's been a big part of us being able to score more runs. So if we didn't have that level of offense, last night could have gone opposite, the way it did.
How, because of last night, it was another one of those games where they got into it, got back in it. In games like that, how encouraged are you by the way you guys are swinging the bats? And even though they came back to tie it up 8 runs apiece, and you guys were able to.
Yeah, I mean, you can throughout the course of the season, if you're going to have a good season, you have to win games a lot of different ways, right? So, pitching, defense, timely hitting. If you get all 3, you're going to win every time. Last night, we played good defense. We had a lot of timely hitting, and we only had a little pitching in spurts. Alex Majors was awesome. Xavier Lovett did well, and so those guys kind of held them at bay just enough. We really only, we gave up 8 runs. 6 of them were in 1 inning, so it really kind of only fell apart on us in just the 1 inning. So, but yeah, that's just not the brand of baseball we want to play, because it doesn't win over time. Pitching and defense wins over time. We all get frustrated, like we've talked about, when we don't score enough runs. But there's never been a winning baseball team that scores a lot of runs, plays average defense, and doesn't pitch. Right? That's not real baseball. So we have to clean it up in all phases.
And looking ahead to Auburn, just what challenges are they going to bring here this weekend?
Frankly, I haven't taken. I don't ever look past the game we play. even in video. I know some of my assistant coaches do, but I know they're super physical. They've scored a ton of runs. They had a couple games got out of hand against Ole Miss, but they also beat Ole Miss up pretty good, who was #1 in the country. So, the bottom line is, if you want to win a series, you got to play better than they do. So I know that sounds coachy, but they're physical. They're hitting over 300 as a team. I think they have close to 20 stolen bases. Their starters have some good numbers, and so it'll be a typical SEC dogfight, I'm sure. I'm just glad to be back home to do it.
Talking about being at home, first SEC series here. The weather's going to be really good this weekend, it looks like. So what kind of atmosphere are you expecting?
Yeah, I'm expecting it to be great. Would love for it to be loud. Of course, we got to give people reason to be loud, but we just got back from LSU and being a part of that atmosphere, and where the crowd doesn't always react to what happens on the field. The crowd gets things going, and then the players react to that. And so that's ultimately what we want to do. And we have sections of our stadium that do that, and we're proud of them. But we definitely need a great showing. It's going to be, like you said, it's going to be good weather. We've had a good week. We've had a 3-1 week to this point. So I would hope people, are going to be excited about us and have the ballpark full.
And with that momentum, coming off a series win in Baton Rouge, is that something you guys talk about as far as taking momentum to SEC play? Or?
Yeah, I haven't been in the league long enough to talk, but in talking to Nolan Kane and Hutch, and it's what they say is obviously you just want to avoid getting swept on the road, and then try to win your series at home. And the fact that we won a series on the road to start the season, that's it's only as good as we make it stand up over the course of the season. So, we need to, when we're at home in front of our own fans, you'd like to think we can, win a series. But right now it's just getting healthy, gave the guys a day off today because we're pretty beat up after the road trip and the intensity of those games, and then a super long night last night. So guys get a day off today. We'll have a light practice tomorrow, and then we'll get back at them on Friday. Sound good? Thanks for coming out.